Welcome everybody to Tuesday's episode, our live show we do every Tuesday and Thursday at 12 noon Eastern with Junk Removal Authority. I am Lee Godbold. We do, again, bring you this every Tuesday and Thursday at 12 noon. Appreciate you joining us. Please make sure if you're not a subscriber to our YouTube channel, you click that subscribe button right now and give us a thumbs up or thumbs down. And those of you watching on Facebook, appreciate you watching. If you're not a member of our Junk Removal Authority group on Facebook, please head on over to the JRA page and like it, as we do put some pretty good content up there from time to time. So, Junk Removal Authority is the junk removal industry's leading provider of business training, business packages, consultancy, Google Ads management, Facebook ads, so on and so forth. We really help you grow, get in business, and ultimately grow your junk removal company. Our JRA business package is kind of like a franchise, but it costs less, and you're not handcuffed. We're not handcuffing you to us long term. It's got your own business, 100%, your business name and your market. You can claim yourself. You're completely locally owned, but we provide all the same training a franchise would. We provide all the same support. You only pay for what you use. You don't pay for what you don't use. So it's a pretty sweet deal for those of you looking to get into business. Today, I wanted to talk about stages of business growth. So like right now with Junk Removal Authority, we're going from a second stage, or the first stage, which is infancy, into like a second stage, which is adolescence. And this refers to the E-Myth. This is a book Michael Gerber wrote. It's one of the best known business books of all time. If you haven't bought it, you can buy it on Amazon. No, we don't get paid for this. It's just a great book. So I really suggest to everybody reading this. Now, what kind of made me think about, I haven't read that book in a while, but what I got to thinking is now, you know, when I first read that book, I think we were in like the infancy or adolescent stage, and now we've taken a business, Junk Doctors, through infancy, through adolescence, and ultimately now into the maturity stage. And it's amazing how dead on everything he said was. So let's go ahead and go through the individual steps, and we'll talk about how it's applied to Junk Doctors and the other businesses that I've been a part of and started or starting, you know, in the stages of starting right now. So the infancy stage is going to be where most new businesses are at. And generally businesses are going to move on out of this stage, or they're going to no longer be in business. A few of them will hang around in that infancy stage, but normally they're going to move from infancy into adolescence, and then some people will get stuck in that adolescent stage. Or they'll get in the adolescent stage and they'll revert back to infancy, and we're going to talk about why. So the infancy stage is characterized by the owner doing pretty much everything. The owners, in addition, in the E-Myth they call this where the technician, you're not the entrepreneur in this case, you're the technician. So you're out, you're doing all the work. The electrician's doing all the electrical work, all the jobs. The junk removal company is removing all the business owners removing all the junk. If you're building a product, you yourself are directly building that product. In addition to that, you're answering the phones, you're keeping the books, you're sending out invoices, you're opening the mail, you're taking out the trash, you're vacuuming the floors, so on and so forth. You're literally doing everything in the infancy stage. The owner is heavily involved in this stage, but the profits are low, and oftentimes the business could even be taking a loss. In some startup cases, if you've gone out and you've gotten a lot of extra funding, you do have to be careful in this stage. You're still in the infancy stage, even if the owner isn't necessarily doing all of this, because he's been able to go out and he got all this extra investment money. He's been able to hire people, and he's been able to invest in a lot more employees than if he was having to go out there and kind of bootstrap it on his own. That's actually a very dangerous stage, because you have all this extra money, you don't know exactly who to spend it on or what to spend it on. So it's extremely dangerous to start a business fresh with a heavy amount of investment. Oftentimes you're going to find out, all right, if you get in there and you struggle a little bit and you kind of figure things out and figure out what's in demand, then you take a big investment, then that's when that money is going to be spent much more logically and better. But the owner's extremely involved in this stage. Profits are low. Oftentimes you're even operating at a loss. This is especially for a very aggressive company, a company that's investing in advertising, has gone out and gotten good equipment, you know, somebody that's really setting themselves up for great success. This stage generally lasts anywhere from 1 to 2 years. In service businesses, the $350K to $500K gross range is probably about all you're going to get out of this stage, because at that point, the owner is going to have to get additional help. Now, in the infancy stage, you very well could. You're probably going to have in the service trades. You're going to have at least one helper, if not two. You're going to have a few people that are doing work with you, but you're involved in pretty much every single one of those steps. It's not like with junk doctors where we've got 45 guys that are out there doing a job, and I haven't been on a job in 3 years. In this, you've got some help, but you're involved in every single job for the most part that gets completed. The transition out of this stage is going to begin when the owner starts to hire even more people and starts to turn over a lot of the stuff that he's currently doing, where he has nothing to do with a certain aspect of that business. So, you want to get out of this infancy stage into adolescence as quickly as possible. The infancy stage, that one of the first things you got to do is you got to get started. You got to become an infant. You got to be born. You got to be conceived before you're going to be able to move on to adolescence. So, if there's a proven concept out there, let's take this Jerry business package on getting into junk removal. You could purchase that, and that's going to get you 85% of the way there, where you really understand. You've got a great understanding of what you're doing, and what you don't know, you have access to consulting. If you're going into if you don't have the extra money, or if you're going into a newer market, something that's unproven, just get out there and get going, guys. If you don't get started, you're never going to be able to take it to the next level. And you need to, if it's an unproven field, you need to do that MVP, which is what we talked about, that minimum viable product. If you're doing something that hasn't been proven out, figure out what's the least amount of stuff you need to get out there and try it out, and see if you get some customers. If you get some customers, it's worth investing more time and effort into it. You can refer back to our last live episode to hear more about the MVP, or maybe it was 2 episodes ago. You got to get attention. That's the second thing after getting started. Getting started is the most important. The second thing is you got to get attention. You need to tell all your friends and family you just started a brand new business. Generally, friends and family are going to want to help you out. I mean, you're going to have some that are going to critique you and say, nah, you don't do that. You want to do that. It's a bad idea. But if you got the right friends, you got the right family. Can't really control the family in, but if you got the right friends anyway, they're going to want to support your business. So in addition to telling them that you're in business and trying to see if they want to hire you to come and do work for them, ask them, hey, will you share my stuff on Facebook? Share my Facebook post on Facebook. Tell others about me. Can you take 10 minutes to do that? It'd be really, really appreciated. Tell everybody about your business, guys. A lot of business owners are afraid to do that. They're afraid to get their friends and family to really promote their company. I've been guilty of this in the past. They feel like they're pushing their business onto them, and they feel like they shouldn't do that with their friends. Guys, most friends, most family are extremely, extremely, extremely capable, not only capable, but willing and really want to help out your business. All you have to do is ask them, and all you have to do is give them the platform to be able to do that. Google paid ads, search engine optimization, you want to do that to get attention. You want to be active on social media and give away free information. When I say be active on social media, give away some great free information. If you're a power washing business, tell people how to properly maintain their power washer. Tell people about what's a great power washer to use on your home. Tell people in situations that you want to be careful. When you're washing that front door, don't have the wrong tip or get up too close to that front door. All of a sudden, you're going to blow a bunch of water into your house. If you don't want if you have the wrong tip, it can damage your decking. In the junk removal business, in your local area, where can an individual get rid of junk? What are the donation centers? What do they take? What do they not? Which ones are the most selective? Which ones are actually donating the most money? If you guys have what's called, like around here, they call them convenience centers, where customers can actually take items for free to those convenience sites. Now, they have to hand unload. They have to wait in line an hour and a half on a Saturday. There's 10 different bins, and they have to put the electronics in one bin. They've got to put the metal in one bin. The construction debris goes in another. Then you've got the general compactor where your mattresses and everything goes in, and then you got car seats that go over here, and you got cardboard that you feed in this little small slot that gets compacted together. Talk about what you want to do is talk about how to properly do it, and you do want to show the hassle that goes through it, but tell people about those convenience sites. A lot of people don't know about it. Hell, you can tell people about bring it to your curb. This is how your local city stuff works. How it works. What you want to do with this, and maybe this is a paid Facebook ad too. So you can do a paid Facebook ad that says, hey, do you have a bunch of crap around your home that you're looking to get rid of? This is how you do it if you're in the Raleigh area, the Charlotte area, or the New York area, or the Phoenix area. This is how you do it. You can take it to these convenience sites, you can donate it here, or If you don't want to deal with any of that, give us a call. We'll take care of it for you. And then somebody watches that ad all the way through, you know you got yourself a hot prospect. That's when you start nailing them with retargeting ads. We don't want to go too far off on subject here and go into too much on social media advertising, but that's what I'm talking about. You got to get attention. On YouTube, I see a lot of infant junk removal companies that have a YouTube channel. Fantastic. Why the hell are you telling other people how to get into the junk removal business, though? You don't even know what the hell you're doing yet anyway. That YouTube channel needs to be aimed at customers, educating customers how to get rid of stuff. Don't try and tell other entrepreneurs how to start a business. You've been in business 6 months. You got no idea what the flip you're talking about. Use that YouTube. And what's that benefiting you? Does it make you feel good about yourself? Excellent. But that's only going to get you so far. That channel, you need to use that channel to help out customers so customers ultimately choose you and get more money. Hey, on the JRA stuff, I'm providing a lot of great free information. There is the reason we provide it, though, is because we hope that you contact us, you buy business packages, you use our Google Ad services, you use SEO, you use Facebook, so on and so forth. There's an objective. Going out there and just talking and wasting your time just to try and make yourself feel good is useless. Use your YouTube channel to try and get more customers. The Chamber of Commerce ribbon cuttings. Joining your local Chamber of Commerce is excellent for a couple reasons. One, you meet other fellow business owners who generally want to help out other business owners. Two, you get a great link on their website back to your site. So it's an excellent high authority link back to your site. It's worth whatever the price of admission is for the most part. Three, you can get this ribbon cutting. You do this ribbon cutting, you're going to issue a press release. The chances of the press actually jumping on you, unless you have a unique story, aren't extremely, there's not a huge chance that's going to occur. But again, even though those links in the SEO world are considered no follow, press releases have been proven to lead to better SEO. It's getting your name out there once again. I'll give you an example. Junk Smiths was started by Sean Smith and his father, Norton. And Norton is 82 years old. We did a press release about Junk Smiths and how his 82-year-old father started this company, and some small little news outlets picked it up. It was issued in through a press release site, so some of the stuff was just syndicated on these different sites, but that's a really unique story. Our hope is that we issue this press release, it helps out on SEO, but we're actually trying to get some news agencies to pick up on this story and run with it for Junk Smiths because it's such a unique story. At an age when most people are retiring, Junk Smiths, one of the founders, Junk Smiths, Norton Smith, starts a business at 82 years old. Pretty crazy. So you can really utilize press releases to get attention at all stages of your business, but especially in infancy when you have that Chamber of Commerce ribbon cutting. And you got some paid social media ads going on. I mentioned that already. Qualify them with that initial video, giving away great free information. You're trying to build trust in that first video, and you're trying to identify people that are actually interested so you can nail them with that retargeting campaign. And guys, if you're personable, if you're good in front of a camera, if you're a likable individual, you be the front person. You be the person that's appearing in all of these advertisements, is appearing on your Facebook channel, is meeting these customers. You be that front person, that front individual, because if customers can look at you as somebody they like, somebody they trust, they almost consider to be a friend, then you're going to have an extreme advantage at getting them to purchase you. Well, number one, remember you, and then purchase from you because they remember who you are. These JRA videos, that's what we're accomplishing in this deal, guys. We get people all the time that call up and they feel like they know me, and that's what we're trying to get. We're trying to put everything out there, be very transparent, so people can actually start building a relationship without necessarily having to talk on the phone to each and every one of you. You need to utilize that same platform for your business, whatever that is. And you must make sure, the third step is you got to make sure every single customer you're dealing with, for the most part, is satisfied. At this point, you do not want negative reviews. You have no reviews online. You've got no reputation that's been built up. You don't want to start out on a bad foot. If you start out with 3, 4, 5 negative reviews, negative Google reviews, negative Yelp reviews, so on and so forth, that becomes extremely hard to overcome because people become a lot less likely to hire you. It's better having no reviews than having 3 negative. Now, once you get to 100 reviews, if you have a negative or 2, that's not a big deal. Once you get to 200, if you have 10 negative reviews, that's not a huge deal. When you first start out, you got to make sure all of your customers are satisfied. We got any questions at all, Aaron? So guys, if we ever have any questions at all, please post them in YouTube. Again, hit that subscribe button. Give us that thumbs up or thumbs down, depending on if you like what we're talking about or if you don't. The next stage, this is the stage JRA is moving into, which is adolescence. So JRA, we figured out what we're good at. We figured out what's in demand. We've hired people. I'm starting to be a little less involved in the day-to-day tasking. You know, I'm involved in the projects that go on, but we've got people that are really carrying it out. When I first started JRA, I was the one making all the videos. I was the one talking to everybody, making the sales calls. I was the one coordinating, getting all the work started. Now we've got somebody else that's kind of moved into a sales role. Generally, he makes the sale. That's Shane. After the sale's made, I follow up, thank everybody for the business, and just let them know, hey, if you guys have any questions at all, you know, or you can feel free to reach out to me. So that's kind of how the stage we're moving into. But we are at a stage in adolescence, oftentimes, even though you're getting more business, your profits are actually going down. So even though JRA has been something, we've had a couple profitable months, but for the most part, it's taking consistent investment from it and to kind of keep this thing rolling. It's probably going to take even more investment now, because now we got a couple more call center reps we need to hire. We're adding in outbound calls, so we're going to start doing home advisor callbacks, and on these Facebook campaigns that we're managing, that we're getting leads at about $18 or $20 per lead. We can actually do the callbacks on those Facebook campaigns. So we need to hire somebody to just do outbound calls, and then we need to hire additional call center rep, because we're onboarding about 6 more companies for the call center over the next week and a half. We just onboarded 2. We got another 4 or so the next week and a half, and I've got a list of about 5 that are ready once we're ready. So we've got to get those hires in place. What that means is we're probably actually going to have to invest more money in the stage, take more of a loss than we made in infancy, in order for us to get into the maturity stage, which is going to be the following stage. In this stage, if somebody's never been through the adolescent stage, I've been through it, I kind of know what to expect. The owner what happens is the owner in the adolescent stage starts to delegate tasks he doesn't enjoy or he is not good at. You are really going to struggle in this stage at figuring out how much leash do you give somebody. Sometimes you're going to start out, you're going to have too tight of a leash. You know, you're going to be sitting there, they can't, you know, if there's a dog, the dog couldn't even have all 4 legs on the ground, because that leash is so short. It's got his neck real tight, and he's gasping for air, and he has to lift up his paws, because if he's having to force himself on the ground. That's far too short of a leash. What generally happens after you start out with that very, 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 very short leash, you then give that individual too long of a leash. So they go out there and they hang themselves. They wrap themselves around a tree and they strangle themselves to death. You've got to, and one's gonna strangle themselves, and one's gonna, you're gonna strangle one before you realize kind of that happy medium. Oftentimes, the owner has not set clear expectations out of what is expected out of that individual, because the owner itself doesn't really know. So you've got to identify what those expectations are. If so-and-so is expected to call back home advisor leads within a minute, they need to call back home advisor leads within a minute. And you need to have a system in place to make sure that's getting done. If they're expected to close jobs at a 75% rate, then you need to have methods to track that. If they're not closing jobs at 75%, you need to have training going into place to get them to where they're closing it at 75%. Or after you do all that, if that individual's still not able to close jobs at 75%, then you move them on out. You find somebody else. So that's the only way you're going to start to move from adolescence into maturity, which is the 3rd stage. Training is generally pretty sparse at this 1st stage. A lot of times the owner just thinks they know how to do it. The person they hire is going to know how to do it. And the owner oftentimes is not very good at training. Owners also not used to hiring. So a lot of times you wait too long to hire. When you're in the infancy stage, you might need people. All of a sudden you get so busy that you're like, I've got to have help. There's no way I can keep up. There's not enough hours in the day. I'm trying to run off 4 hours of sleep. I'm physically just wiped out. And what happens in that case, you back yourself into a corner, and the first Joe Schmo that applies, or Jane Doe that applies, you're going to hire. they show up, you're going to hire them, you're going to be like, I'm just going to give them a shot. So you're not used to hiring. You've also backed yourself into a corner, so it's always better to hire a little bit before you actually need somebody. Now, I tell you this, and this is one of the hardest things even I still struggle with, because you don't want to spend the money until you need it. What I will say is oftentimes you hire that person starts making you money, so you get to where you need that person sooner after you've actually made that hire. Generally, what happens once you first start delegating tasks off, you give somebody, you shorten that leash, or the leash starts out short, you elongate it, it goes too long, and all of a sudden standards aren't being done to the owner's, or work isn't being done to the owner's standards, or the owner becomes paranoid and believes that work is not being done to his or her standards. And that is the first reaction to this by most business owners, especially in the service industry. Remember, a lot of service business owners are what the E-Myth, what Michael Gerber calls a technician. It's somebody that starts an electrical business because they're an electrician, starts a plumbing business because they're a plumber, starts an HVAC business because they are a heating and airman. And they're like, all right, you guys can't do this right, I'm just going to do it. Sometimes they don't even fire the people. Sometimes all of a sudden the people are just left twiddling their thumbs trying to figure out what the heck am I here for. And that discourages people because people generally want to feel like they're actually needed, or they're going to turn around and they're going to leave. Most people, if you challenge them and set expectations, or a lot of them anyway, are going to take pride in their work. Not all the time, not all people. And maybe it's only 70% of the population, but people will continue to work, and if they're uninterested, if they're not challenged, they'll continue to work, and that's when they'll be on the phone all the time, and they'll be goofing off all the time. You always got to be challenging these individuals. So if you come in and you take all their work, you're not challenging them, they're probably going to leave. Or you fire them, and all of a sudden, you're overworked. You're like, this whole deal going in business myself was a terrible idea. I'd rather go back to being a plumber, making $100,000 a year, than and working 40 or 50 hours a week, than run my own company, work 80 hours a week, and make nothing. So you're never going to make it as a business owner, generally, as just the technician. You're never going to achieve true business freedom as just the technician. You might build a successful plumbing business if you're the only person doing the plumbing, but there's a pretty good chance you could probably go and work for a successful plumbing company, actually make more money and work less hours if you don't get through this adolescent stage. Owner will also see profit decrease despite an increase in sales. We mentioned this before, and this becomes very, very concerning to that individual. Oftentimes, they become stressed. So this stage normally is going to last 2 to 4 years. The exit of the stage is generally going to be in the $1 million to $1.5 million range as far as income. It could be a little less. You might sneak in there at $700,000-800,000. We've generally found $1 million to be the point where the owner is advancing into the maturity stage, or the business is advancing into the maturity stage. This is also the point many people give up on growing a business. If your business makes it to the maturity stage, oftentimes people continue that growth trend until they get bored, which we're going to talk about in the next stage. That's actually one of the biggest threats once you reach maturity, is getting bored. People get in the adolescent stage, they retreat back to infancy, or they close doors. Staying in the adolescent stage generally does not work. At least, you need to either advance into maturity or go back to infancy, or probably shut down and go work for somebody else, really, if truth be told. So what do you need to do to get out of this adolescent stage, which sucks? The adolescent stage, much like being an adolescent as a human going through the teenage years, is a period filled with uncertainty. So how do you get out of it and become mature, become an adult business? One of the first things, you must start developing systems, and you've got to set expectations for each position. And that's systems for all different parts of the business. Even parts of the business you're still handling, you need to be putting systems into place. That's what's great about the Jerry Business Package, is the systems are already developed for you in the case of a junk removal business. So you need to have a bookkeeping system in place. You need to have, how do you change out a capacitor on an air conditioning unit? Have that written out. Have it trained, more or less. What parts need to be stocked on the truck. You need to have an inventory system on how to keep up with that inventory. You need to have customer contact training. So when you call the customer, you let them know you're on the way to the house. How does that conversation go? How do you answer customer questions? How do you price jobs? All of this needs to be documented and systematized. That's one of the first keys in getting out of this crazy stage. If work isn't being done to expected standards, again, you got to be providing training. Training somebody else is frustrating oftentimes because you yourself could knock it out quicker than you could train that individual. You got to keep the long term in mind, though. You need those individuals where they can quote jobs and they can do all the jobs correctly, because you don't want to have to do everything for them. You can only do one job, but if you have you can only do one 8 o'clock job. But if you got 6 crews out there, then you can do 6 8 o'clock jobs. So you've got to realize that you got to train everybody to do it properly. You don't want to be doing 6 8 o'clock jobs and 5 of them being done poorly, though. You want all 6 to go off well. The only way that's going to happen is systems and training. And you got to develop a culture of consistently hiring great talent. Great talent will always, always, always make you money. People do not cost you money. Not having people cost you money. So always remember that. People do not cost you money. Not having people cost you money. But it needs to be good people. So the only way you're going to do that is if you don't back yourself into that corner like I was talking about. If you are consistently putting out job ads and hiring, you're going to have a great culture or a great number of people that start coming in your business. And guys, sometimes you're going to spend the money when the sales just ain't there. So you just going to have to, if that's a great person, if it's a needed position, hire them. Pray to God that or whatever, pray that everything works out, and you're going to find the money to pay them. And go from there. Sometimes in the entrepreneurship world, you just gotta just do it and figure it out. Do not obsess or be overly suspicious of employees. That doesn't mean you don't. I mean, we track numbers and we got ways to try and figure out if somebody's stealing from us or not doing a good job. But it's very, very common for business owners when they start losing day-to-day contact with their employees to become overly suspicious of them and think everybody's out there trying to screw them. And that's an excellent way to start losing all your people and to get people to start to try and screw you. If you think somebody's stealing from you or you think somebody's goofing off or whatever and you let them know that and they become demoralized, the chances of them stealing from you and goofing off go up. So pay attention, but don't drive yourself crazy by being overly suspicious. In this stage, you do not want to worry about profit. Cash flow, yes, because you got to be able to pay the bills. Profit, not so much. This is the stage, if you're going to go out and borrow money, this is the time to borrow money because you've proven yourself through infancy. You know there's a market out there. You're trying to keep up. You might need more people to get more business. You might need more advertising to get more business. You might need more equipment to get more business. Don't be afraid to borrow here. So if you borrow here, instead of the stage lasting 4 years, it might last 2. 1 maybe, but 2. So you can't worry about profit. If you guys get caught up on the profit game here, it's going to extend out this cycle and you're going to be so stressed for such a long period of time, it's going to increase the chance you go out of business. If you guys can forget about profit more or less here, focus in on cash flow, then you're going to blow through this stage and get to the maturity stage. And the maturity stage is pretty damn nice. Like I said, you got to invest in more equipment and advertising. You need to work extremely aggressive to get out of the stage, but you got to be patient. You got to practice patience. This stage right here, again, can last several years. If you become impatient, it's going to add to your stress level and you're going to make moves that are unwise. So stay patient through this process. Work hard, invest where you need to invest, but don't rush this process. If you rush it, that's when you're going to make a mistake. So now let's talk about maturity. And maturity, for those that reach maturity, is the greatest stage ever in a business. It's the point where you can leave town for a month. And actually, that's one of the great tests. If you can leave town for a month and your business run just as smoothly with you gone as it was when you're there, all of a sudden, let's say you leave for a month and you cut off all your phone and you can't be reached, and you come back a month later and that business is still ticking along, you've got a business that's reached maturity. Aaron, if you'll grab that screen there. People and systems are in place at this point. So there's a good chance you're actually not the one doing all the hiring. You've got somebody else doing the hiring. You've got a GM, you've got a supervisor, you got somebody in place, an HR. If it's a big company at this point, you got an HR department in place. So the HR people are actually the people doing the hiring. Now, I still try and be involved in the hiring. It's smart to be involved in the hiring to some extent. So if you want to be that final person that the individual meets and you give the final go-ahead or whatever, that's great. but you got somebody else doing that. You got somebody else carrying out all the work. You got crews carrying out all the work. You got people that are doing some of the R&D, figuring out, somebody else is managing the advertising. Somebody else is managing the insurance. You got most of the stuff is covered. Maybe you handle a little bit here and there, but for the most part, everything else is covered. And your main job is working on your business. How are you going to get your business to the next level? What's the next service to get into? Should we raise prices? Is there some new advertising we could do? Is there, are people happy? You kind of looking and seeing how your business is doing. That's this stage. You're now working on your business. You're not stuck in all the details. So the entrepreneur is focused on growth instead of getting the day-to-day task completed. This stage could last a lifetime or more. It could literally outlast you. Businesses that reach maturity are the businesses that go to a second, third, fourth generation. Probably a second generation and a third generation tanks it. But that's how this business can roll. This is also the type of business that can be sold. It's difficult to sell an adolescent business. It's impossible pretty much to sell an infant business. Once you reach maturity, you've now got an asset that can truly be sold at a multiple of profits plus the equipment that you have. If this is a product business, the lifetime of the business is going to depend on how well the business and the business owner does and the managers of the business do at keeping up with changes. The junk removal world is going to change in ways we cannot imagine in the next 20 years. 15 years from now, guys, we might not have employees. We might be going out and buying $300,000 robots that do all this work. That's a legitimate possibility. You need to keep up with that if that's going to happen. Trucks. I'm hoping 5 years from now, these trucks are self-driving. That's going to change this game. If our vehicles, I will get rid of every single damn truck we have, and I'll go out and buy $250,000 trucks to run out there if they're all self-driving. Because all of a sudden now, we don't have this individual that we're having. We've lost one of the biggest danger areas in this company. So that's going to be a possibility. Google could change. Google Ads right now, we're already seeing on Google Ads that we're having companies come to us saying, hey, ads are getting disapproved. We're having a hell of a time getting them reapproved. These aren't our customers. That something has happened, but Google reacts very slowly. Google could change. If you're 100% dependent on Google, that's the reason we're nailing this Facebook thing as hard as we possibly can. Google could get broken up. The federal government could come in here and say, hey, Google, we don't like you. We think you have a monopoly. We're going to break you up. So what's going to happen in the terms of a breakup is you're going to have 5, 10 other search engines that are going to appear. When Standard Oil Company got broken up in the 1900s, it became ExxonMobil, Shell, Chevron, so on and so forth. It was broken up into 10 different companies. That's what's going to happen. So you're going to have to jump on those 10 different new search engines. At some point, Google will probably get broken up sooner rather than later. Maybe not, but at some point it probably will. Facebook at some point will likely get broken up. So what do you have in place to address that? If you don't keep up with those changes, you'll go out of business even in a mature stage. If you keep ahead of what people demand, what people want, if you keep ahead of your ways of reaching customers, if you make sure customers stay satisfied and you still remain known and you still grow and you move into new services, you create new products, and you're always, always, always trying to grow your business. If you're not just sitting back, fat, dumb, and happy and just bringing in your checks, your chances of your business remaining are great. Otherwise, at some point along the line, a mature business is going to go out of business. In maturity or growth percentages, or might even maintain what it was in the adolescence phase. So just because you become mature doesn't necessarily mean your growth curve stops. What's nice is actually in maturity, you might even be able to accelerate growth at an extreme rate, because you might be able to go into a new service or offer a new product. You get all this extra money your successful business is bringing in. You can put towards that product. You got a reputation behind you where people know you know what you're doing. So there's a very good possibility that you could also all of a sudden experience 50%, 100%, 200% growth rate. Got to be careful with that high of a growth rate, but there's a great possibility that your growth rate still continues. Profits are higher at this stage, again, so you have more money to reinvest back into your company. It's extreme. Now, the most dangerous part about the maturity stage and I've been through this. Again, it's crazy. You read through this E-Myth, you see these 3 stages, and you're like, all right, 95% of what this guy says is dead on accurate. So in the maturity stage, perhaps the most dangerous thing is you guy, you look in the mirror and you see staring back at you, is that you get bored, you lose focus, and you quit monitoring your business, you quit trying to grow your business, you just sit there and you take that money in week after week, day after day, month after month, year after year. You must maintain focus throughout this. Now, the only way a true entrepreneur is going to be able to maintain focus on a business he's been working on for 5, 6, 7 years is to figure out a new service to get in, figure out new markets to go into, figure out a way to make it exciting again for that entrepreneur. Because most entrepreneurs, it's like 6 or 7 years, and you lose focus. Maybe 5, 6, 7 years, somewhere in there, you're going to be ready to go on to the next thing. You either need to sell that business and move on to the next thing, or if it's possible, you create kind of a symbiotic service that's very similar to the business you're already in, to expand it out. That keeps your interest in the proven concept rather than going all the way back to infancy stage again. So, entrepreneurs, I guess the only other thing that I'll say on the maturity stage, entrepreneurs must make sure they're still going into their business some. They're working maybe 80% on their business. They're working 20% in their business. You still want to stay in touch with operations that are going on. That way, when you're making larger decisions, you remember about the operation end of things and how it's done, and you want to make sure stuff is still being done correctly. So, those are the 3 stages of business. Right now, I've got Jerry moving from infancy into adolescence, and we've got a filter business that's very much in an infancy business. We got an athletic training facility that me and my wife are doing, are very much in an infancy business. So no matter what you're doing, even if you're a startup and you have millions of dollars of seed funding, these are still the 3 stages. Now, if you're not careful, you'll think you're an adolescent or mature company when you're really an infant. And at that point, you're really going to sink yourself. You got too much money that you know what to do with. So generally on a lot of startups, it's best to get going a little bit. That's the reason the Shark Tank, the sharks don't want to invest in just a product idea generally, because they don't want to give. A lot of times they know they don't want to give this individual a bunch of money, and this individual doesn't really know how to get this thing going. You got any questions at all, Aaron? Awesome, guys. So, hey, hope this was very helpful to everybody. Guys, keep in mind, again, if you're looking to get in to the junk removal business, our business package is just going to put you years ahead of the game. Probably save you $100,000. You know, it costs $10,000. Probably going to save you $100,000 or more in terms of mistakes, missed opportunities, and slower growth. So Jerry Business Package is an excellent tool. We've got some people that are having great success with it right now. And of course, those of you who are looking to expand out in your business, search engine optimization, Google Ads management, Facebook ads, we handle it all. We do it for junk removal companies, about 50 of them throughout the country right now. Ready to help you out, ready to help you get to the next level, ready to help you take you from infants to adolescence to maturity. All you got to do is call us at 919-617-1975 or check us out at junkra.com. Again, I am Lee Godbold. This is Junk Removal Authority. We'll be back Thursday at 12 noon Eastern. Thanks for watching. Please hit that subscribe button on YouTube or give us a thumbs up or thumbs down, depending on if you like this episode or not. See you Thursday.